I know you Battlefield 3 fanboys are really excited right now, but I need to say two things before I start. First, I need advice. I've had several of you ask me to upload my videos in widescreen so that you can watch it on your widescreen monitor. Historically, I've been shrinking my monitor down to a normal 16:9 aspect ratio because I know that most people are watching 16:9 and I want to be able to do full screen moments for those of you that are, which is probably 99% of you. So please let me know if you like that I uploaded this in widescreen. If it bothers a lot of you and only makes a couple of you happy, I'm probably going to switch back to the old way. Yeah, just let me know what you think. Also, I've had so many of you talk about my FOV and say I have a huge fisheye effect. So before we start, here is a cropped image of a 16:9 cutout of my screen. The fisheye effect is mostly not there. The edges of my screen are kind of just in my peripherals. And because I'm not directly looking at them, it just makes it more immersive. But besides that, if you enjoy this video and you've been enjoying my content lately, please remember to like the video and please consider subscribing. So, I know a lot of you enjoyed my walkthrough of Battlefield 4, where I kind of just talk about the things that I love about the game. Well, this is going to be a little bit different. My first time really getting into Battlefield multiplayer was Battlefield 4, but the first Battlefield I ever played was Battlefield 3. Considering I was absolutely terrible at games in general at that point, I hopped in for about 5-10 minutes and I got really frustrated and I quit. And that was probably the worst gaming decision I've ever made. I can't really do a walkthrough the way I did with Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1 because I'm just not knowledgeable on the game. So for me to walk through and talk about the game like it's incredible, which it is, and acting like I just know what I'm talking about, it would have felt a little bit fake. So this video might overall feel a little bit different, but I did play Battlefield 3 for like 3 hours straight and I had a lot of fun. And it made me realize that my favorite shooter of all time really owes a lot of its identity to Battlefield 3. There are a lot of Battlefield 3 fans that really hate Battlefield 4. And it really confuses me, especially after playing this for a few hours and like sinking into it a little bit. Because besides the gunplay in this game, Battlefield 4 really feels like the perfect sequel to Battlefield 3. Battlefield 4 really just feels like the smoothed out and expanded version of Battlefield 3. And honestly, I'm genuinely curious, why did you guys hate Battlefield 4 so much? But moving along, the first thing I want to mention in Battlefield 3 is that it has the perfect level of personality. I couldn't really come up with a better way to describe like the overall feeling that Battlefield 3 gives you. Like from the animations to the way it feels to run, to the lines that the soldiers are shouting in the background as you're surrounded by explosions. Several great games have this cohesiveness of personality, but I think that that is something that only game developers with like a very set goal in their minds can achieve. Game development really is an art. You have asset designers, you have map designers, and then you've got sound design, you've got the color palette, and you've got the animation department. And at the end, if it doesn't all come together, you end up with this like awkward, corny feeling game. This game feels like a fleshed out environment. When you play Battlefield 3, you feel like you are in Battlefield 3. But overall, just the cohesive environment is what I really think will draw you into this game or suck you in quickly if you play it long enough. My last memory of Battlefield 3 was playing the campaign. All I remember is it completely blew my mind visually. Have you ever seen like a really hot girl, or if you're into guys, a really attractive dude? They just seem so interesting. And then you finally go talk to them, they open their mouths, and you're like, you know what? Never mind. Well, Battlefield 3 is not like that because it still looks incredible and it is full of personality. Other games that nail personality are games like Skyrim, Counter-Strike, the original Modern Warfares, Black Ops 7. I'm just kidding. But if you love Battlefield 3, I think you know what I'm saying. Bad Company 2 is also another fantastic example of personality. Let me talk about something that is a little bit less abstract. While I was playing, I think I played either 3 or 4 maps that I've never played in Battlefield 3 before, and it reminded me what is so amazing and exciting about Battlefield is that you spawn into these big ass maps, and even after 30 minutes of running around this map, I still don't feel like I've seen everything there is to see. And as I'm doing this voiceover, I can't remember the names of the maps, but there was one that was like a construction site in the Middle East, and I remember there being a crane knocked over, but there were so many underground tunnels and back ways to get to certain areas, and it took me a good 10 to 15 minutes of playing just to figure out like how the map is laid out, and I absolutely loved it. I felt like I was exploring a new small open world environment, but every here and there I had to shoot someone and take an objective, so it felt like I was being occupied in two different ways. I was having fun exploring the map and having fun trying to beat the enemy team, and I think so much of the charm of Battlefield comes from exactly that. I'm gonna have to play this map several times to actually get a feel for it, know how to run my flanks, know the common camping spots. It was genuinely fun. I hadn't felt that feeling in a long time. And this isn't a Battlefield 6 shit talk video, but Eastwood just came out, and I already feel like I know every part of that map because there's no ups or downs to it. You can't go underground. There's no multi-level buildings with different floors that you can fight in, like the mall. And there's one desert map I played that I thought was Gulf of Oman at first. Oh, and go figure, you can go inside of it because this game is creative. The maps in Battlefield 3 are just purely creative. There's hardly a point on any of the maps I played where they didn't try to spice things up. They didn't just lay out a map, put some objectives on it, change the elevation a little bit, and call it good. They were like, you know what? Let's put a tall ass building right here and put a hole in it, but let's keep the escalators intact so that you can still climb up like 4 or 5 floors and look down on the objective from above. Sick. Or how about we have like a service tunnel going underneath this construction site that leads from the center of the map to the edge of the map. And yeah, it reminded me how goddamn creative they used to be with Battlefield maps. I really miss the underground stuff. I miss stairwells. I miss elevators. I miss being able to go to different floors of a building. Like right now, I think the most creative map in Battlefield 6 is Sobek City, but even on that map, you just have a top of the building and bottom of the building. I really hope we get to see this level of creativity in the map design come back to Battlefield 6. I think that could do a lot for the game. Now, there's one critique of Battlefield 3 that I think a lot of you are probably going to disagree with me on, and that's totally fine. But I think Battlefield 3 is the game where Battlefield started getting big enough, and maybe Bad Company 2 as well. There's some bigger maps on there too. But the gunplay is pretty squirrely, and it's good. I'm not complaining about it being squirrely, but at long range, it kind of feels like you can only be effective with the sniper. Now, I will say I didn't unlock a lot of attachments for any particular weapon. I tried to use multiple weapons, and I think the most attachments I got on one weapon was heavy barrel, foregrip, and a red dot sight. So this could just be because I didn't have the right attachments. But there were moments where I was trying to engage someone at a longer distance, and I felt like I couldn't do a whole lot, but it wasn't game breaking, once again because of the map design. There's almost always cover to get behind. Like if you start getting lit up from a long distance, it's very rare that there isn't somewhere you can dive for cover. Another moment I really enjoyed was on one of the maps. Once again, can't remember the name. I only played for like 3 hours, but I have a friend that has always told me about this Battlefield 3 map where you jump off this like massive cliff. Is this the one? Oh, my buddy always told me about this one. He said you jump off of a, I think he thought it was a dam, but oh my god. All right, that is pretty cool. I got so excited running up to jump off that thing. Like if you want to talk about verticality, I don't think there's any better example in any other Battlefield. Maybe the next closest thing is jumping off the skyscraper on Siege of Shanghai in Battlefield 4. But jumping off that helipad was fucking sick. Well, as long as I got it. Oh man, at least I got to jump off. And it made me realize just how easily pleased I really am. But I love that the devs were sitting there and they're like, what if we had like a 300-foot jump? Like you could jump off this shit and you have to pull your chute before you hit the bottom. Like how cool would that be to have that big of a jump? Every part of Battlefield 3 just felt like the devs were sitting there thinking, what more can we do? Like, how can we make this cooler and bigger without making it just a wasteland? And it really works. As long as the server is full, you're never overwhelmed with the amount of people you encounter, but you also never have too much of a gap in time where you don't see an enemy that you get bored. And I can only imagine what it was like to play it for the first time when there was no other game like this out there. For something as quick-paced and arcadey as Battlefield to be this expansive and to still feel like there's constant action but not too much action, I don't know how the hell they did it. I think the only time I felt overwhelmed was at one point I was playing Operation Metro and I was trying to re-enter the Metro from Alpha, and there was a constant stream of grenades. But I'm not even sure that's because of the game design. I remember this guy, I think he threw like 3 or 4 grenades in a row, so maybe he was cheating and maybe that's why that was happening. But other than that, like it just felt like organized chaos the whole way through. And I think that's the most critical thing to have in a Battlefield game. I think that's like why people love it. One other thing I noticed was the level of detail that went into the character models. Like, this game came out in 2011 and the character models still look good. The faces of the characters don't look like they've experienced a mental evacuation or like an alien sucked their brains out. But the major detail that I really noticed that I thought was super cool is how in kill cam, whenever a character is just sitting idle, their face looks normal. But then whenever they start firing their gun, they grit their teeth and like open their mouth a little bit and squint their eyes. Super cool game design. That's one thing that's not in Battlefield 4 that I do wish was there. I won't lie, it's a little difficult to like be able to give an expansive review of the game by only playing it for a few hours, because I know some of you probably have thousands of hours in this game, and I'm probably not going to hit several points that you know about and would like me to talk about. But the last thing that was impressive to me about this game is that I tried playing every single class, and in every single class I felt like I could be just as effective as the others. Of course it's contextual, like I wasn't going to snipe on Metro or something, but I found that I could be effective with every class. Like I didn't feel like I want to switch classes really bad anytime. I will say playing as a medic, I think it's called Assault in Battlefield 3 the same way it is in 4. I felt a little bit OP at points because I could kill a guy that just killed 2 of my teammates and then boom, boom, they're both revived. So I do like the mechanic they added in Battlefield 4 where you have to charge up to give them full health. But outside of that, it just feels like a very balanced game. And it feels like a game where you can spend many, many hours playing it and you can discover something new about the maps. I don't know if there's Easter eggs in this game the way there are in Battlefield 4, and overall I just don't know a whole lot about the history of the game because it released like a year or two before I got an Xbox, and it also released 2 years before I even had an internet. But it'll always be a huge bummer to me that I didn't stick with Battlefield 3 back when I played the campaign. I feel like I got a glimpse into something great and I was just too dumb to understand it. I'm sorry that I couldn't just talk while I played the game and swoon over it the way I could with Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, but while I was playing it for my other video a little while back, I knew I had to come back and play some more multiplayer. And it took me a minute to find a server that was full and I didn't have like over 100 pinging. But once I did, I had a lot of fun. And I'm keeping Battlefield 3 and Bad Company 2 installed on my computer because now I get an occasional itch to play them because they're just good games. To me, I can't help but feel like games used to be made for a love of making good games rather than designing a game with the pure intent of figuring out how much money you can make off of it. On that note, I'm really thinking about making a video where I just talk about what happened to gaming. Like, why did everything used to feel more simple but also more fun? Because I really don't feel like it's just a nostalgia thing. It really just objectively, it feels that way. Like, I'm playing Battlefield 3, I never played this game, and I've had more fun in this than I've had in a lot of new games lately. Like, I miss when games counted on making their money off of making a fun product, rather than releasing an addictive product that would get you to spend more money on it, you know? And I really hope that we can get back to that place in gaming at some point. I really think we're in a place in gaming where if one studio decides, you know what, we're just gonna make games to be fun, we're not gonna focus on the microtransactions that come afterwards. Maybe we'll have them. I don't care if there's microtransactions, but if a game studio decides we are just going to make things that are fun and will blow your mind again, I think that studio will get a lot of attention, and potentially gaming could see a little bit of a revival in focusing on having fun. And I'm really hopeful that TTK Games will be that studio because they are the ones that made Battlefield 3, made Battlefield 4, made Bad Company 2, Bad Company. Battlefield's always pushed boundaries and just tried to come up with new ideas, just crazy new ideas that just fascinate the players. And I mentioned in my last video that TTK, their gaming philosophy, has me optimistic about what they might put out, but it seems like the exact philosophy that was probably used to make games like Battlefield 3. I do think Embark is on the right path, but once again, a lot of former Battlefield devs are working for Embark now. But anyways, we can only hope for the future, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's not quite as detailed because I don't really know what I'm talking about in Battlefield 3. I just know it's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of familiarities between Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 that I really automatically liked. But please in the comments, tell me anything about Battlefield 3 that I might not know, like Easter eggs, favorite weapons, your favorite parts on certain maps, and also don't forget to tell me why you don't like Battlefield 4, because I'll never understand it. It's such a good game. I think you should go back and try it again. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. And as always, thank you so much for the support lately. I'm going to keep trying to grow my channel and keep on making content for you guys. And as always, I will see you in the next video.